Hey guys, welcome to the Hayworth Music Podcast.
Yo.
What's up? Original crew coming at ya. Got the big GH here.
What's up, everyone?
What's going on, G?
Great to be back. Chibs, love seeing your face, love hearing your voice.
Where were you last week?
Last week I was in Sydney seeing Gary Vaynerchuk at Luna Park. It was
Cool.
It was interesting. It's
Yeah.
cool, learning some business tips and whatnot.
Business.
Talking business.
Yeah. And Bevo,
Bevo.
Good morning.
it's alive.
Good to be back.
Crazy.
Where was I last week?
I don't know.
Picking up the slack in the shop.
Yeah, well,
That's
someone
it.
has to do it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
we had
Bossy
Dean.
was here.
We had
running
Dean
the
down
mark.
here, and because it's mostly a two-man show up at the Wollongong store, so Ryan had to open up the store. We do this first thing in the morning.
It's a dirty
I'm sure
job.
Bozzy's furious right now.
Yeah, we'll let him have one podcast. Ryan gets all the others.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But that theme song sounded good, Ryan, too,
Thank
by
you
the
very
way,
much.
I gotta
Thank
say. Ryan actually
That's
recorded
That's
that.
the Ryan Beveridge experience.
Yeah.
I'll do an update next year. We'll do a different style, maybe.
Yeah, style it up. Maybe a little
Crunk.
bit more jazz.
Yeah. Jazz it up.
Yeah, we could do that for sure. So we went jet setting on
We
Monday.
did. We
Yeah.
did.
Thought we could talk about that.
Flew out of Albion Park.
Feeling pretty rock star.
I know.
One of the first flights out. I had people actually seriously messaging me asking me if it was a private jet.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think this is?
Yeah. Just like, Bevo has a private jet.
yeah.
He let us use it.
But really cool to fly to Albion Park. With, only about 10 minutes from where I live, and you guys aren't too far
Pretty
off.
sweet when you land and old mate has to just unlock a padlock
Unlock
to,
a gate,
to
let
let
us
you
out.
out. Do you mind
To the
opening
cover.
the gate so I can get in my car? Yeah,
Yeah.
no worries, mate.
That's it. So that was cool. But we went to Cole Clark.
We did.
Cole Clark, our first time for all of us to the factory to see the operation there, and
Yeah.
impressive.
That's it. We've had Miles here on the podcast a few times.
That's right.
It's one of our favourite guests.
Yeah, he's a really good guy to talk to.
yeah.
He's like an open book.
So Miles is the CEO of Cole Clark Guitars, but he also does everything else.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude. Everyone down there seems to be
He's
busy
multi-
doing
Miles is
10 different things.
multifaceted.
Miles is such a man of value. Like, he's there, he's mowing the lawn, he's doing the
He was
dishes.
super proud,
making
of,
the
super
coffees.
proud of that
Yeah.
lawn as well.
Yeah.
He was proud of the lawn.
Yeah.
He's making his coffees. He does so many little things that you wouldn't really expect a CEO to do.
Nah.
But
He's got
he's a really hard worker.
artists sitting around in there, like
Yeah.
ordering him around.
Yeah.
Miles, make me a coffee. Yes, sir.
So, but he's just, he's such a hard-working guy, and he's just a massive reason why Cole Clark's doing so well at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
He came on board 10 years ago or so, almost 10 years ago, I think, and just really took it to the next level. He's got a lot of experience in retail, so he knows what it's like for us.
Yep.
He was a shareholder of the whole Billy Hyde's Allen's franchise there, and ran the Blackburn Billy Hyde store for a lot of years down in Victoria, and just really gets it from a business model and how to make it work and make it work for us retailers and for the end users as well.
Yeah.
So just such a switched on savvy guy, and just a really good guy. So I think he's just a massive reason why they're doing so well.
Yep.
And
He's super passionate. You can tell
he's
there's the
passionate
passion
about it.
there.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just driving the innovation like always. And that's the other thing. He's out there with Carl, the production,
The operations manager. Yeah.
cutting down trees with him.
Yeah,
just those two going out.
they just go up the mountain into the
Yeah.
just
Someone's backyard.
just rip trees
Yeah.
out and drag it back
And
to the
bring it back to
factory.
using the
So it's pretty
factory.
crazy to think your general manager's out there with a chainsaw
Getting his
helping
hands dirty,
helping
Yeah,
pull trees down.
It's insane,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that was really cool to see the start of the factory.
Yeah.
You walk in and then you've got these big sort of tree trunks. There was European maple they
Yeah,
had there.
yeah.
They had the redwood, California redwood grown in Victoria, and all the timber.
Yeah.
They basically go out there. For a lot of it, they get themselves, but for the majority, they still get other. Is it called arborists?
Yeah, yeah.
To get the timber for them. So
Yeah.
so that's cool just to see the timber just in a raw
Just
raw
a log,
state.
just a log sitting there. Yeah.
That's what I've been saying. It's so cool to see literally the tree
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the way down to the finished product at the end of the
Yeah.
at the showroom.
That's right,
you know.
getting put in
Yeah.
a case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Spill, we weren't there like a day later. Kept
Yeah.
having to say that guys from Temper Trap were
Ah,
coming,
yeah,
coming
yeah,
through the
there
next
was a lot
day.
of
It's
that,
like,
wasn't there? Yeah.
really? Yeah.
Yeah, well, Lloyd Spiegel was down there too, so we got
That's it.
to have a
Yep.
chat to him. He's one of the great artists that's out there flying the flag.
Saw a
for
few of his
Coldplay.
signature models
Yeah,
on
they were
the
whipping a
production
few of them
line
up.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, an amazing player too,
Yep.
and a really good singer too. He's played for us in the shop when we've had a clinic before.
Yeah, his signature series, Cole Clark's really nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had a couple of them.
And just that process of just taking that log, and before they can even use that timber, it's got to go and dry most of the moisture out of the timber. So,
Yeah.
that massive bandsaw, they had this massive bandsaw with this epic blade from like the 1960s, this big
It was like
machine.
the 40s.
Yeah.
It was from the 1940s.
40s, I think he said, yeah.
Old school.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
It was the only thing that survived the fire.
Wartime, yeah, that's what he said.
That's
It was a
right.
wartime
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Building-
German made, and they're running through these massive sort of logs through this big bandsaw and just cutting it down to slabs. These sort of, probably about, 4 inches wide, these slabs, then putting them in the drying kiln, then taking them out, then cutting them down to the actual thickness of, the back and sides and that sort of thing, then going in again and just drying. But I think it's like 8 to 10 weeks or something before
Yeah.
they can actually use the timber that they get.
Yeah.
They've got to dry most of the moisture out.
What's crazy was that that cedar of Lebanon saying like how long did he say they've got to keep it
3
for?
years, I
Like,
think.
yeah,
It's
years
years.
and years before
Yeah.
they can even
Yeah.
The
start
sap
to yeah. It's
has to crystallise.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. You just got to sit on this timber, and they just got it like
Yeah.
racked up near the roof
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
Like just
Just
we'll
forget
be able to
about
use
it
that.
for a
And,
while, yeah.
that's a good piece. Can't
Yeah.
wait to make a guitar out of that in
Yeah.
4 years.
That's crazy, right?
It's
Yeah.
like a fine wine.
Yeah,
It's crazy. There's so much to it, isn't it, that you don't realize until you go through and you see.
it was super impressive facility though.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with those Mega Factory like shows.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it was
in
just-
China and everything.
Yeah, well, even just like they have like the Coke factory and like
Yeah, they show
Lego,
the
the
production
Lego
line.
factory
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that, and just anything like Lay's, all that stuff. Doesn't matter. I'm
How to
obsessed
make
with
crayons.
It.
That's a
Yeah,
good one.
I can watch them all day long.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
dig it. So it's like being in that in real life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it.
very
Yeah.
noisy.
And then
It's noisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from that process of when the timber's dried out, ready to use, they do use some. They've got a couple of CNC machines cutting out the basic
Yeah.
parts around the neck.
But we're not
and headstock
talking
and that.
like CNC machines, as in, the ones you used to see in like small workshops. These things were like
This was heavy duty. This
there
was
were
like,
3 of them, and
Yeah.
they took up half the
Yeah.
space of
Yeah.
one of their warehouses.
So a CNC machine basically cuts out the shape without, like precision. So
Yeah.
you always get exactly the same dimensions. And
Yep.
Yeah, by the
Yep.
Terminator. The
Yeah,
Terminator.
it looked a bit like that, didn't
It
it?
was like Skynet's like
Yeah.
cutting up timber.
Had
That's
big
it.
like
Yeah.
car wash style rubber flaps, so
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
could
yeah.
get in or out.
Yeah,
It takes out that kind of repetitive manual labour job where you just
Yeah.
don't need someone to sit there on a bandsaw and cut out the shape of a headstock. You know what I mean? Like, so doing those jobs, which just cuts out so much time, and then when the neck's ready for shaping, you have guys doing the final shaping of it, the final sanding,
Yeah.
and everything like that by hand. What I thought was really cool in the headstocks of the Angel guitars, which we didn't even know until you go down there and see this stuff. They actually hollow out the inside of the headstock on the Angel guitars, and they put the cap on top, which might be a Blackwood cap on a maple headstock,
Yeah.
or whatever timber they choose to use to cover it up, and
Stops
it's
your
just,
neck from diving.
Yeah, it's just so that the guitar's well balanced when you're
Yeah.
playing it. Like it,
weight reduction of
Yeah,
the
it's
Smaller
headstock.
bodies have more weight towards the headstock, so they want to balance
an
that
SG.
out. Like an SG,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So they hollow out some of the headstock to counteract that. Just those little things they do. I found it really cool. The Spanish heel neck joint that they do was really well explained, and we got to see them how they do that. A lot of guitar makers do like your dovetail neck joins and everything like that, but actually with the Cole Clarks, it's a Spanish heel, which was designed in Spain, obviously, and used
A bit
on
more
the-
typical of a classical.
yeah, a lot of classical guitars made in Spain use this technique, and it's when the sides of the guitar kind of come in as a join to the neck, rather than the neck being attached to the sides and the back. So
Yeah.
it's a different technique. Really cool to see. I think it's a big reason why the Cole Clarks get that sound. They do sound different. There you go, Dill's on the tape
There's the
machine.
tape
If you
gun.
guys can hear that.
I
He's
feel like
taping
every
up
time he's
stuff in
on
the
it, he's
warehouse.
like he's taping more than he needs to, just because he knows we're doing this.
Yeah, but the Spanish heel is a really cool neck joint that not many guitar makers are using now, and there's the only place in Australia really doing these.
Well, I mean, it's not often you get to see an acoustic guitar at that point. Like, you buy an acoustic guitar, like, you never go, I'm just going to pop the back off this thing and see what's inside.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's bracing
One
in
thing I
there
did
and
think
you know
about,
this,
like,
but-
you'll see the body and someone's written a name on it, or it's just keeping up to date with what's been done and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm sure if you had your Cole Clark and you pull it apart, you'd see Mark or something there.
Yeah,
but you'd
yeah,
never
that's
know
right.
unless you
Yeah.
literally pulled the thing apart. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was pretty crazy, like how intricate they go into just how things are braced and where the face sensor goes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
and all the
Um,
innovation and like constant
yeah.
research and upgrading and that kind of
I
thing.
found like with the CNC machines where they would put like specific little slots and like notches on the top so that when it went to build, that's exactly where like a side brace or something like that was going to slot down perfectly too. So when they
Yeah.
got to the build point, you can't stuff it up.
Yeah, yeah.
There was no room for error with it, which he was saying.
Yeah.
You know, the rate of the stuff that doesn't get through quality control.
Yeah.
What did he say? It was like
Very little, yeah.
4 a year or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
crazy like that. By the time it actually gets
Yeah.
through to that point,
Yeah.
it's so precisely done.
All the bracing on the back is they route these very fine channels for the bracing to go
Yeah.
in, and it all just slots in there neatly. So yeah, really really well done.
Taking out all the room for error.
Yeah, it'd
Yeah.
just be
Yeah.
the inconsistency of timber being a living, growing thing, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
where there might be an imperfection that's unfixable. That's what he said, that anytime there's a mistake or anything like that, it's fixed, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
rather than scrapped.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
cool to see the sides, how they mount the sides to the top and the back as well. The top and the back have this actual channel for the sides to kind of
Yeah.
push up against, giving it more surface space, so more glue, making a stronger joint
Yeah.
often than gluing the side straight to the top like
That thin piece of timber that it's
Yeah.
going to actually attach to.
Yeah, so things like that were really cool to see, and just the guys working in there, their musos,
They look,
some of the
they
guys.
look pretty tough, pretty cool looking.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
muscles and tats and
Yeah, some of them are real tatted up and
Yeah.
that, aren't they? They are
You'd have
the
to be
working
pretty tough
class
to do
heroes,
that
aren't
kind
they?
of,
Like they're out there, they're gigging musos, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And some of them, Miles was saying, just don't work full time because they spend the rest of the time gigging or practicing guitar, and so they're passionate. What about the guy in Paint Shop we were talking to?
Yeah.
Who's just super passionate about acoustic guitars, loves playing, loves singing, loves writing his own music.
Yeah.
And he loves the fact he can make this guitar, and someone's out there doing that.
Yeah,
with this
and he's
instrument.
responsible for that person's, awesome instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So different to when you go over, to some of these, I guess, mega factories, mega
Yeah,
guitar
yeah.
factories where one person just, they're not interested in the guitar at all. They just
They
got a
spend all
job,
day
right?
just
Yeah.
hammering in frets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spend a day just doing one repetitive job kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very different to that.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to see the passion going into these things.
Well, it's crazy. Like, as far as their innovation goes, that they have made up like all their own machinery to do specific jobs that only for Cole Clark.
Yeah.
That they've designed and built in house.
Yeah.
Different ways of like sanding, different ways of clamping the guitar to be able to
Yeah.
work on it.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of the jigs and everything.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have to
Built
do
from
as a
scratch, yeah.
guitar maker. And I remember my dad had to do that when he first started making guitars. You can't buy these jigs anywhere.
Yeah.
Stu Mac is probably the biggest place in the States that you can get a lot of these guitar making, these luthier tools from. But, especially for guys like Cole Clark, which the little lady is a unique shape, you're just not going to get anywhere else. They have to make their own jig for the sides of that to and
be
how
able to
cool is
press
that,
the
by the way, to
sides.
see them
It's,
wet this timber for the sides,
Mm.
put it in this hot clamp and just clamp it in and watch it bend and just
Yeah.
It's confusing to think it's timber.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's wood.
Yeah.
That's that malleable.
Yeah,
like, they
yeah,
can just
yeah.
soak it in water for a bit. They chuck it on there and it's just bent. Like,
Yeah.
you go, hold on.
and it keeps it
Yeah.
shaped afterwards.
It was
Yeah.
cool. One thing I took from Miles when we were just talking, he was saying that to be a sort of heavy hitter in the industry, you've got to be doing stuff that no one else is doing and like filling up that market. And what do you say, making your own playing field or something like that?
Blue Ocean.
Yeah, that kind
Blue
of thing
Ocean,
where it's
making
like
its own
everyone's
market.
doing this one thing.
Yeah.
You've got to be doing something in the same realm, but making it your own sort of
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
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 That's what's cool about him too. He's still learning. Like, I don't know, he's in his 50s, he's still learning and still innovating, and he's reading that book he showed us in the car, that Blue Ocean Strategy, which is basically finding new markets and new ways of doing things that no one else is doing. You know, so. That's what they're massive at.
I mean, their R&D stuff that they've got going on. Like, they've got this whole room upstairs where, you know, they make one room like just crazy hot. Yeah. And they put guitars in it. So just let guitars sit in it to see what happens to the guitar when you're leaving in a really hot room or in a hot car or something. Like, so what's going to happen? When we turned up,
Lloyd Spiegel was there talking to the R&D guy about putting a second phase sensor in his guitar to see what happens, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll do anything."
It was crazy. You go into the R&D stuff, they've got these guitars that have like 2 different preamps in it. They put all these switches in it so they can switch. And
he's got his oscilloscope.
Glenn like probably offended the dude, like Paul up there a fair bit by like, you know, dissing some of his science techniques.
Sometimes you're better just to keep your mouth shut around dudes who know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll get caught sometimes because I'm always like, I don't like awkward silences. I always try and make conversation with people, and sometimes you just say stuff and you're just like, why did I say that?
So Paul, you got drum dials on this guitar. No, they're not.
I like to show. He was so
disgusted by it.
He's got his touchscreen oscilloscope. I've never seen a touchscreen one before, and he's just showing us these squiggly lines, and I'm like, I have no idea what this means. And he's making it bigger and smaller, and I'm like,
look at him go.
I was kind of ready to leave that room pretty quick, just because I was so uncomfortable, because I just didn't know what was going on, and I didn't want to ask questions just for looking like an idiot to this guy again.
I mean, that's what research and development should be. Like, if everyone's understanding what's going on in there, then they're not developing far enough.
Exactly,
it's like, I don't want to understand.
It was deep. It was like five layers deep.
He was. I tell you what.
He's deep into that.
They're going to come up with some crazy stuff.
Yeah, and that's the reason why the guitars are so cool.
And keep getting better so quick as well. Like, just how fast they've gotten better.
Yeah.
Goes to show that's where they're investing time and effort, and it shows across the line. Like the amount of different timbers you see. We have this fat lady coming with the European maple back and sides.
Spalted.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, so spalted it kind of has this. It's hard to explain. It kind of looks like it's got these black sort of. They're not outlines, but they're sort of like outlines of almost knots. Yeah, it's hard to explain. If you Google,
the grains just.
Google spalted maple or spalted whatever. It just looks so cool. And that was the thing, like going through and seeing all these. We're used to seeing your redwoods and your spruce and all that kind of stuff, and then seeing ones that we'd never seen before, seeing like coloured ones. And
I still thought just seeing the blackwood laying there as a slab was like, that's insane. Like you see like blackwood, you know, it's blackwood, that's a really nice blackwood, but seeing just a log sitting there and you can see that grain in it, or like the sap line
on the outside,
and you're seeing that just in the log and going, oh, I get it. Right. So that's why the guitars end up looking like that.
And you see those medullary rays that come through, which give it that figure in the top. It really comes to life when they actually do the whole process, like dry it out. Like you barely kind of see it in the logs and that, or when they cut the big slabs. I mean, but when it's dried out, when they actually put the finishing on it, when they put the nitro on it, it really pops out. So. That was cool, the finishing too, hearing about the nitro that they use. They use nitrocellulose in their finishing, different to your polyurethane, and the nitro stuff is used on a lot of the vintage guitars like Gibson and Martin, and a lot of these manufacturers that have been around a long time still use nitro, and it's what Cole Clark use. And it's designed, it's you know, you've got arguments for and against nitro and poly, but one thing nitro does well is it doesn't kind of smother the sound of the guitar, lets the guitar breathe a bit more. It's very thin kind of coating. And a lot of people will ask us, they look at the Cole Clark and be like, oh, so they don't lacquer these, you know, because it's just got that natural finish, right? It's that natural sort of satin finish with the nitro. Just ages really nicely too.
And the way he sort of explained why they don't really made sense, you know. They look just as nice without, you know, and the process.
The gloss finish, you mean?
Yeah, why they don't do gloss finish, And they do, like, it's a custom thing.
Yeah, you can get a gloss finish.
But just the process to do it.
Actually, the gloss ones they had in the showroom looked really nice. But I think it's just...
But it does sort of catch your eye because it's not the normal as well.
It's not normal, it obviously is a more expensive process. And, like, when Bar Smiles, well, you know, why is it that much more expensive? it adds like what 9 weeks or something crazy
Yeah,
onto a
yeah.
build or something stupid like
And
that.
considering
Yeah,
they look
yeah.
just as nice without, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Why bother?
Yeah, and I compared. We tried the gloss ones out compared to the non-gloss.
Yeah.
and I like the sound of the non-gloss better, to be honest.
yeah.
But you know, it's,
I
it's
think you
what
get
do.
more resonance and everything out of the non-gloss.
Yeah.
But looks fancy. Yeah.
Yeah, the gloss just looks that extra
Yeah.
bit. Cl- I
Yeah.
did like some, and they looked really
Yeah.
cool. Like so.
I dug
Anyway.
like those just the like the matte finish black. They had
What
the
about-
black little lady and stuff. which
What about
looked
bases?
Really cool.
Bases.
Yeah, that's-
so we got to see one of the
The prototype.
Prototypes.
bases that they brought out, which is looking really cool. Through
Yeah,
neck,
yeah.
and
Gonna do a
and-
4 and a 5 string, and they
Yeah.
look.
Carl
really
Kennedy was
cool.
that the Carl Kennedy was the designer?
Yeah.
Carl. It was Carl.
Neil Kennedy?
No, I think
Kennedy.
it was Carl because it was like neighbours.
Definitely.
Isn't
Kennedy.
Carl
Dr.
Kennedy
Carl.
the doctor
Yeah.
from Neighbours?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
That's what you might. No, it's definitely Kennedy.
yeah.
He's a guitar maker.
Well, he's a specific bass builder. He's built basses for 30,
Yeah.
30 years down in Melbourne.
Yeah.
He's renowned for it.
So
So
he's-
he's teamed up.
he's
teamed
come on
up
board.
Cool Clark.
Yeah, I actually got to play one of them in NAM. So that must have been when they first made the prototypes. That's one
Yeah.
cool thing about Cole Clark. They won't release something until it's ready.
Yeah.
Like they've had these basses as prototypes for the last probably 18 months or so.
Yeah, and they're still just
But they're still
reworking the
refining it.
CNC and
Still
stuff. and-
refining it and the
Yeah.
R&D and all
But
that.
that just that prototype, it looks really cool.
It looks cool,
It
yeah.
feels great.
Yeah,
And
it kind of reminded me a bit of a Rickenbacker,
it
which is a
sort of
bit,
has this. It's
meets
it's-
Warwick.
Yeah.
kind of
meets
thing.
Warwick,
yeah.
meets an Ibanez bass,
Yeah.
and yeah,
basses are funny. Like
it's
you've
not
got-
just a P bass.
Yeah, you've got your traditional
bass
sort of
or
P
something.
bass,
Yeah.
J bass shape,
Yeah.
and then not many other brands are doing basses that look like guitars. If you
Yeah.
know what I mean? They,
Yeah.
they do their own sort of weird shapes.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, no,
And they're going to use like redwood tops on them and stuff as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
which I think is going to be very
it just
cool.
didn't look ugly to me. Sometimes basses do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
So it'll be exciting when they sort of start hitting
yeah,
the
really cool.
hitting
Yeah.
the shops.
Yeah,
Very cool. But it was a really cool trip, wasn't it? Really eye-opening to see these guitars getting made in Australia. It's such a rare thing to see manufacturing of any kind getting done in Australia now.
Yeah.
So really cool that these guys are doing their thing. And they survived a fire down there when Miles basically first started. They had this fire, this
the whole back
spontaneous combustion.
building. So it's made up
Yeah.
of three buildings.
Yeah.
The whole back building that has your CNC machines and everything, and this
Yeah.
massive old 1940s bandsaw.
Yeah.
Which survived.
Yeah, that thing survived.
Yeah.
That thing survived, but
Yeah.
everything else was a goner. The roof, Carl, the operations manager, was saying like the roof came down, like even the support beams and everything, like
Yeah.
everything came down.
Lost the
It was-
the kiln.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
drying rooms,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So-
they stopped their production for 4 months or so. I
yeah,
think
they
it was.
couldn't build anything.
Yeah, which is just crazy. So to go through that and to bounce back like they have, and actually talking to Miles in the car on the way to the airport, it seemed like they actually got better from that experience.
Yeah.
Just such a resilient.
He was hesitant to
attitude.
to say it.
Yeah,
I think, but
Yeah.
I was kind of pushing it a bit because
Yeah.
that's all my thing. I love talking about resilience at the schools and that. So I was kind of pushing him a bit on it.
But it was
But-
true. He did say, like they got to redesign the setup of the factory and everything, and
Yeah,
make the workflow better and
Yep.
and all that sort of stuff. Which,
Yeah.
like he said, they can build more guitars now.
Yeah, they can build more
a
guitars
year
now than
than
what
they
they could
could
before that.
Just the way it was set up. So
Exactly.
he said, they had paint
Yeah.
in the very back room, so everything would work its way down to the front,
Yeah.
and then end up having to go all the way
Yeah.
to the back again, and then back here,
Yeah.
and
So it
it
made
wasn't
them-
efficient.
Made them much more efficient. They were able to do things like redo the logo and
Yeah.
different ways of making the guitars.
Yeah.
So they really got stronger from that disaster, I guess, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool to see.
You also saw
and
the
to hear that
famous
story.
Plek machine.
Yeah,
yes.
yep.
That,
You got
that was the
Plek
first thing I saw, and I was like, "Oh, is that the Plek?" And he was like, "We'll do that at the end."
Yeah, shut up.
That was cool to see that the care that goes into even just like the fretboards on Cole Clarks are just amazing, right? Like
Yeah.
they come well set up, these guitars, when we get them, and to see how they do it, sort of explained why.
Well, they're pressing because all the frets get pressed at the same time.
Yeah, before
So-
the fretboard even attaches to the neck.
Yeah, so then
so-
the fingerboard's just there, like
Yeah.
by itself, and old mate's just puts in the frets, takes it to the machine and presses them all,
press them completely
rather than
flat.
individually press like every other place I've ever been.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just individually pressing frets.
They'll press them all at once, basically. Well, he'll hammer them in first and everything, but then press them all down so they're completely flat.
Yeah.
He's siding it up to the light, making
Yeah.
sure, looking along the fretboard, making sure it's perfectly
Yeah,
flat.
it's
Before-
working it as well once they're in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then the fretboard actually goes onto the neck.
Yeah.
and they attach it to the neck, and then it goes through the whole process of paint and everything else, and then they'll run it through the Plek machine. Then they'll do the hand filing on the frets after the Plek machine to
Yeah.
make sure there's no sharp edges on the edge of the fretboard and everything. So, yeah,
And then it still
so-
goes through quality control after that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
It was pretty crazy though by doing the fingerboards and the frets that way. When John put it into the Plek machine
Yeah.
and it scans it, he's like, out of all the frets, this one needs to be adjusted by like
0.10 of a mil or
0.10
something.
of a millimeter
Yeah, yeah.
at this string only, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
dude, you've got a Plek machine because you need to fix one fret. It's
It's
like,
almost
But
like you
the-
needed a degree to work that thing. That was,
Oh,
that
man.
was a technical.
Yeah, that was another like R&D moment where
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
explaining it, and I smiled
It's
and
just-
nodded
yeah,
for a lot of it.
Bit of a mythical beast, this Plek machine. I had heard of Plek before. Someone was telling me about
Yeah.
them. He said they had one in a shop, and the wait time for one was like 4 months or something, just to
Yeah.
get your guitar in there.
Yeah.
So I had this idea in my head of this magical, setup machine that makes your guitar perfect and
Yeah.
everything like that. And then to see one in the flesh, it's pretty wicked.
It's
Pretty cool.
it is really cool. It's as precise as you can get,
yeah.
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, you still had to have
You still have to hand
you still
finish
have
it.
to go over
Oh,
it
yeah,
once it comes out and
Yeah, yeah.
have someone that knows what they're doing
Yeah,
finish it off.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's cool to see. And I think Gibson used one. I'm not sure if Fender have one though.
No, Fender don't.
Yeah.
apparently.
So not all the manufacturers use them.
No.
But it's just
The way of the
cool
future
Cole
kind of
Clark
thing.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. Anything else on the Cole Clark experience? That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Flight
Yeah.
was good.
That was good.
Got Uncle Toby's Muesli Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a choice, actually.
Yeah.
I wish I went the Oreos.
I got-
No, I actually like the music
I was going to hit them up for Oreos on the way back, but then they had packets of chips.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And
had
you
to
know
get
when
some
you're on,
Smiths
you
in
know
me.
when you're on a flight and the cart's coming down the aisle and you think
That's
like-
normally when I need to piss so bad.
and it always takes forever because you just want them to get out of your way so you can get your elbows back out in the aisle and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was just like super quick, super
Well,
convenient.
there was like 12 seats on the plane.
and that's the other thing. You know when you get off the flight and you have to wait for everyone to stand up and
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
bags and open the door. 5
Yeah.
minutes.
Such a furious traveller. Yeah, it was. I liked it.
So
It
that's
was
my
like
shining
a
review
private jet.
for-
Are we
Jet-
getting paid by JetGo
Jet
here
Go.
to talk them up? Or
Jetgo.
what?
Hashtag Jetgo.
just like supporting a business that
Yeah, it's just don't stop flying from Albion Park. Keep doing it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
it's
That's
great.
good. It keeps handy,
Great.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, really cool for Miles to get us down there and show us what goes on. So yeah, great to see the factory. And we've already had from the footage that we put up, people talking to us, different customers saying, "Hey, we saw the footage. How cool was it?" And
Yeah,
so-
we did the Facebook Live video, which you can jump on Facebook and watch now. But
Yeah.
I'll be whipping a proper video up
Yeah.
today, and I'll put a link for that video in the show notes of this podcast,
Nice.
so you can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, check it all
As
out.
well.
It's definitely worth
we weren't
seeing.
sure.
Yeah.
It was very noisy in the factory. We weren't sure if you're going to be able to hear, but I think it's pretty
It's
clear.
like, yeah, the Facebook Live one
Yeah.
is good. I think we got that right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot of like Glenn just mouthing words, and you just hear.
Well, that's I was doing. I was doing the Instagram and like I was trying to type things that you guys were saying
Oh,
just in
yeah.
case.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, hard to tell.
But no, it was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
That's what live videos are, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it's a factory.
It's a factory.
We couldn't just be like, fellas, just keep it down.
Yeah.
Keep
Put
it down.
subtitles
It's like,
in.
they're trying to build guitars. Yeah, the subtitle would have been. That would have been about it. Yeah, it was a good trip though.
Yeah,
Very
it was
Good.
fun.
I have to get back there.
Thanks, G, for
To get back
putting
there.
us up.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
it was
worries. Thanks,
bloody
Miles.
hot down there though.
That's okay.
Hot.
I'll live with that.
It was warm.
Yeah. Bevo.
Yeah.
What was your little scenario you wanted to bring up for us?
Well, you guys, it was last week, talking about the nightmare scenario. And I thought it was going to be a cool topic about, like...
Oh, sorry, it wasn't cool enough for you, Bevo.
When has there been a mad nightmare on stage? But it was more... What was it? I can't remember now.
I didn't listen to it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the two pieces of gear that should never go together.
Ah, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I was thinking, what's a story of a time where everything's just gone...
Everything went horribly wrong on stage?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you start, Bevo. You've obviously got one.
Come on, mate.
Nothing's ever gone wrong for me on stage.
Actually,
I always do things right.
I've never had like a gear meltdown or anything, which is... Actually, no, I have had a gear meltdown where my guitar...
Caught on fire.
No, it was just really crackly and cut out, and I actually went over to my amp and like hit it like Fonzie, and it went back.
The Fonz.
Yeah.
You did a Fonz on it.
It was a band comp, and I think we won points because
you Fonzed it.
Because I got back on the mic and I said I'm too cheap to get new gear, and everyone thought that was really funny. But the story I wanted to tell, didn't exactly happen to me, but it happened to the band.
All right, well, next.
I was in a cover band when I used to live in Lismore. We were called Bendrix and the Hustlers because the guitarist's name was Ben Hustle.
Right.
Bendrix and the Hustlers.
Okay.
And this guy just lives guitar, plays all day long. And anyway, the theme of it was like one of those uni nights where the theme was Smurfs.
Yeah.
So we were all dressed as Smurfs, and everyone in the crowd is dressed as Smurfs, and it was pretty rowdy. We were all ground
Smurfs
level.
are known for rowdiness.
Yeah, yeah. Everything just blew up. Yeah, anyway, so we're on the ground level, which is always a bad idea when you're a band because it means that people can get way too close.
Yeah.
And people were it was getting pretty loose, and people were getting really rowdy. And one of the dudes crash tackled another guy into our speaker, my speaker that belongs to me as well. Cool. So this is a bit annoying, but it fell on the guitarist Bendrix. So I had to like stop everyone and give him a bit of a like, guys, we got to stop wrecking my gear and getting like intense.
That's a bad move. They're going to want to wreck it more now.
I did it more as I sort of G'd up the crowd. I was like, repeat after me. I will not wreck my gear.
Yeah, they want to wreck it. They want to wreck it now more than anything in the world.
But anyway, played the next song and I look over and there's Ben, because he had the speaker fell on him. Someone's got an ice pack under his little Smurf hat, holding it in while he's playing a mad guitar solo.
So lucky they weren't rowdy enough to not find him a ice pack.
But the funny thing is, the guy that crash tackled into the speaker ended up joining the band a little bit later.
What an animal!
I've got so many things. So I'm just gonna give you three real quick ones.
Go.
Yeah. One is my furry guitar. You reminded me actually, Bevo, when you said this. So I've got the furry guitar. It spins. It's like a ZZ Top spinner, right? It's got a wireless pack on it. Spin it, and it's covered in fur. And one time we played at Tori's Kaimin Hotel, and I was spinning it, and then one of our mates, Michael Murray, right?
It's an animal.
Bit of a loose cannon. Yeah. So I was spinning it, but to spin it, you really got to thrust your hips out and pull your face and legs back. So you kind of like thrust out while you spin it, so it doesn't hit you in the face or the legs. So I'm playing, and he's come down the front, and he's like, "Can I spin it? Can I spin it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So, but he spun it so quick before I could even pull my head back that he spun it, and the headstock came around and just crack into my nose.
Did you break it?
And it didn't break my nose, but it gashed like the top of it.
Yeah.
And it just starts bleeding out blood. Yeah. And I've broken this nose so many times. It's pretty solid, bro. Boom, like blood coming out and everything. And I was just like, "You didn't wait for me." Like he was just a bit too gung ho. Another time we had the MFS reunion show, and we thought it'd be funny to come out, I came out like this G-string thing, just like brag, like we came out like with basically no clothes on, our guitars hiding our genitals, right? And then Dan Murray, like we're playing, the guys come down the front, they're ripping these clothes off. And so by the end of it, we're just naked with these guitars. Anyway, at the end of the gig, it was real fun. I come down, I'm like, "Where's Amber?" No one knew where she was, and then I found someone. They're like, "Oh yeah, she went home, man. She's pretty upset." Anyway, that night just turned out to be like just hours of just like, "Why did you do that?" kind of thing. So that would be my advice: is
don't
check with the girlfriend first.
Check with the girlfriend first if you're gonna do that. And the final one is I wasn't on stage, but some of you guys have heard this story before. Broken toe.
Go back and listen to the Dan Southern podcast.
Dan Southern podcast. He's jumped off stage. I've gone to catch him up the front. He's kicked off the fold back monitor, which landed right on my toe, broke the end of it, and I had to drive all the way home from Sydney in this manual car and with this broken toe, and it wasn't good. So three quick things for me. About
It's
you,
funny because my one's probably also has to do with Michael Murray.
Yeah.
Same guy that broke Glenn's nose.
Yes.
Played in a band with me.
Yeah.
And we were playing at the Palm Court Hotel in Corrimal.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And
It's a loose cannon.
he's Cannon
We love him.
is
Loose
good
cannon.
guy. But so first note of the first song of the set, and he does a massive guitar spin, and the headstock came down on top of my head and split my head open.
Oh, no.
Yes.
And played the whole set.
Yeah.
Just thought I was sweating heaps.
Just the adrenaline, yeah.
Yeah.
Was red sweat coming out of my head.
It's funny how, like...
There's blood everywhere, and I'm not good with blood at all. And I don't think anyone wanted to say, like, you're bleeding a lot from your head right now. Played the whole set, played like 45 minutes,
Yeah.
got off, and was just sort of like, geez, whoa, what? Ah!
Yeah.
Just like, oh my God. Anyway, it was like, I just had like a headstock hole in the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how, like, if you feel sick or, like, pain or anything, as soon as you start playing it, just you forget about it.
Yeah.
Just
I
goes
don't know.
away.
I was like totally flu-ridden from Mac Tango gig in Bondi one time, and
Yeah.
I had a box of tissues on top of my amp,
Yeah.
and I did not forget that I was deadly ill while
Yeah.
doing it. I disliked every moment
These guitar,
of playing.
these guitar spins were massive, weren't they?
It was just that big
yeah.
thing
They
of like
probably-
all those
Yeah,
sort
it
of
was a
like
big
that,
thing, wasn't
that emo rock band thing
Yeah, yeah.
and stuff, and yeah, it was both
was
of them,
that car crash
Bimsy and
type
Minnie,
thing where-
Bimsy and Minnie would do it constantly.
And I remember practicing, like, and I remember, I think you were practicing too with stack hats, like they
Yeah,
practiced in the backyard with these stack
yeah.
hats.
So when Minnie first like nailed it, I was working at the Climber Down shop, and he
Yeah,
lived.
guys, I think
he
I'm
lived
ready to
just
take the
down
hat off.
Yeah, he lived just down the road,
Yeah.
and he runs down. He's like, Chibsy, when it's your lunch break, come up to my house. I've got the guitar spins down. I'll show you.
Yeah.
So go down to his house on my lunch break. He's like, goes out in the backyard, just
Yeah.
like crack, spins it. It wails him in the eye, splits his like eye open
Yeah.
above his eyebrow. He's like, oh, shuts the guitar down, just sort of like legs it.
Hmm.
I'm just in his house like watching TV or whatever. I'm having lunch. He'd just run down to the
You just
doctor.
kept watching TV?
Yeah. He'd just run down to the doctor's surgery on the corner
Yeah, yeah.
and got stitches.
Yes.
And came back and had another crack and got it. Nailed it
nice,
that
yeah.
time. But it's like, just went and
Yeah.
got stitched up, came back.
I think Malmsteen
Nailed
started it.
Yeah.
I think Malmsteen
Yeah.
It's a
started it.
thing. Those
Yeah.
those dudes in that band that I played in there would do it constantly, and we'd be playing at the Oxford, like where there was no room,
room,
yeah,
and you would
yeah.
hear the swooshing of guitars going past
Yeah.
your head. It's like, vroom. It's like,
Yeah.
stop doing it,
Yeah,
stop doing it. Yeah, but crazy. Yeah,
We'll have
you
to
go.
talk about the Oxford on one podcast.
we'll
coming
go
up.
back
I think
to
that'll be
history
nice.
history of the Oxford.
Yeah.
Um,
See if we could get Jeb in here or something.
Yeah,
Jeb
well, I
from
did.
Music Farmers.
I've hit Jeb up,
Yeah,
and he's
cool.
keen to do it. So
Yeah, cool.
that'd be a good one. We get Jeb in here, and we
Albie maybe as well.
yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
talk about the Oxford,
Yeah.
history of the Oxford. All right, G, drop some music for the mind.
Mind
Music
some
for the
music.
mind, guys. Here we are. So, this is where we talk about the benefits of music. So, this information is from collective-evolution.com, and it says here that heartbeat, pulse rate, and blood pressure can be helped by music. And I'm just going to go into it here. So it says studies have shown that music strengthens the heart and improves the recovery time of patients who are suffering from heart disease. Regardless of the genre of music, listening to your favorite music releases endorphins in the brain that help to improve vascular health. It has been seen that both men and women who listened to music soon after cardiac surgery were both less anxious and even reported having less pain as opposed to those who rested quietly. An observation made at Massachusetts General Hospital found that heart patients confined to a bed that listened to music for 30 minutes had lower blood pressure, slower heart rates, and less distress than those who didn't listen to music.
Well, there you go.
I'd love to be that person that conducts those experiments. Come in with a big boom box.
I'd put on like Slipknot. It's like dun 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 dun. It's like,
Simon and Garfunkel sounds of silence. Or something.
Are you relaxed?
It makes sense, doesn't it? So if you're feeling a bit of anxiety or anything like that, and your heart rate starts to go up, then music can help bring it back down, calm you down, and it makes sense.
Makes sense.
The healing power of music.
That's
there
it.
you go.
Cool. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes. If you've got an Android phone, you can get the Podbean app.
Yes.
Also on PC or anything like that. You can listen to it on Podbean. Follow us there on iTunes, and make sure you leave us a review on iTunes. I've seen we've been getting a few lately, which is great. So the more we get, and make them 5 stars, hey?
Yep.
Hey, come on.
Come on.
This can't be your secret favourite podcast anymore.
And help us climb those charts. Those music charts suck. We got to get up there.
Yeah.
Although Rick Rubin just started doing one, which is pretty rad.
I did listen to that one that you suggested with Billy Corgan. Actually,
yeah, it's cool.
Joe Rogan, Billy Corgan.
Joe Rogan.
Really interesting insight to a bit of the seedier side of the music industry and everything like that. And then a really boring stretch of talk about Conor McGregor.
Joe Rogan's ones are like 3 hours long.
No, that was only 2 hours. It was good.
It's crazy.
It's interesting.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
No
All
worries.
right.
Love you guys.
Catch ya.
Bye.
Bye.